how to diet so it doesn't feel like you're dieting. We, as the Gorilla Platoon, are able to produce results like this. We actually just crossed the 100 mark on the Instagram page very recently, and we're able to pump out results like this each and every week because, of course, we don't just get you to rely on your willpower, because that will fade very, very quickly. Willpower is like motivation. Brilliant tool, but it doesn't have legs. There's no longevity in willpower, and I would not expect you to use willpower to stay on the diet plan. So in today's video, we're going to uncover what type of a diet plan we give our members so that they can actually stay on this and not feel like they're dieting. I get the message when a member's been with me about 2 weeks, they'll say, I've never felt like I've eaten so much food in my life, yet I'm in a calorie deficit, I'm dropping body fat. It's because we set it up in a way that's going to fit for you. So do not rely on willpower. The reason for this is it will just fade very, very quickly. You can try and do willpower day after day after day, but it's like a muscle that's just going to get fatigued. And if you're not giving willpower a chance to rest, recoup, and go again, you're not going to use it. The way I like to use willpower from my time in the military in the British Parachute Regiment, the way we used to use willpower is you save your willpower and you use that when you're on the ropes. You're like up against it, time's tough, and we used to call it, the term we'd say it in the Parachute Regiment, we'd say just reg it out, because we'd call the paras, we call it the reg. So we'd say just reg it out, and that really is our term for basically use your willpower, get over this, just get the job done, last bit. But you don't start with just reg. If you're starting with just reg it out, your thing is wrong, your setup is wrong, and you want to fix that. So there are three main things you want from a meal plan that's going to allow it to not feel like you're dieting. There's nutrients, fullness, and simplicity and sustainability from a meal plan. Now, rather than talk you through each point, what I'm going to do is pull up a typical meal plan we give to our members and go through each point with the meal plan in front of me, so you can get a flavor of what to eat specifically, so you can take that away from your from this video. So let's now go through a meal plan where you're in a calorie deficit of like just under 2,400 calories, which would probably be a standard deficit for most of you. Protein at 172 seems to be an average of like, obviously protein is dependent on your lean mass, but like for a lot of guys that come to me when I work out the body fat and stuff, a lot of them end up in around this region. Obviously we tweak it specific to your macros, but this protein 172, carbs just under 300, fats at 56.8, and fiber at 49. Let me break down macros first so you can understand why they're set the way they're set. So we'll start from actually this side. The reason fiber is high is fiber actually is one of the main reasons why you'll sustain to a diet, but people don't utilize it enough. We'll go into what foods are in the diet plan to give you fiber, so you can take that away. But realistically, when you add fiber into a diet, what is it going to give you? Well, fiber will give you volume. It's the way potatoes, you get more than you do for rice because there's more fiber in the potatoes. There's more fiber in oats than there is in like cereal or granola, so that'll give you more fiber. There's more fiber in obviously vegetables and fruits, which are generally lower calorie per the amount of volume that you get. So this is why fiber is very, very useful for volume, for size, aka for keeping you fuller for longer, which is going to help you to sustain it. Now, simultaneously, fibrous foods generally contain the most amount of nutrients. The reason you can't stick to a meal plan is because it's filled with pretty garbage things. If you're eating a low nutrient dense diet and it's highly processed, and I'm not going to say there is zero time for a highly processed food product in your diet. You could say just after a training session, some high GI carbs, that's useful, then it absolutely is. Now, I don't really put it in my diets, but I'm not going to completely, because everything in context, right? It is useful, fine, but for the most part, for your diet in a calorie deficit, do not be putting highly processed foods in, because if you're already in a deficit, which is hard enough because you're tactically starving yourself to drop body fat, you better make sure that there's as much nutrients in those calories as possible. Because when you have good nutrients, you're going to stay fuller for longer. When you have good nutrients, your body is going to be replenished as it should, and it will function as it should. You'll rest better. You won't have brain fog. Your body will utilize the food correctly for performance. You actually get better pumps in the gym. All because you ate more nutrient-dense foods rather than eating processed foods. So we need nutrients in the diet. Fats are obviously needed, but fats will be there. I start heavier with the fats at 20%, and then I will bring this number down later on. The reason why I don't go low fat to begin with is it doesn't give me any room to play with. You want fats in a good position for as long as possible for hormone health. It also helps with joint health. Now, to combat that as fats come lower, you can take omega-3s, which are good for joint health as a supplementation. That's also very useful. But the beauty of having fats in the diet, when you do need to make a change to your meal plan, you need to drop some calories. If you take from the fats first, you're normally going to extract a lower volume for a higher amount of calories. This is why it's useful to have. Now, the reason why people will say my diets, don't feel like they're dieting is because I stack you full of carbs. I absolutely push your carbs as much as you can, both in the form of high GI, like fruits that will digest rapid, and lower GI in the form of potatoes and oats that will take longer to digest. The reason why I keep your carbs so high is it gives you energy. If you still feel like you've got energy when you're dieting, you're not going to feel like you're dieting. And this is mission critical for building muscle. I would argue, out of all those macros, carbs is probably the most important, because the main reason you're going to hold and build muscle tissue, protein's important. I'm not going to lie. Protein you absolutely need. I'm not going to lie. But carbs drives energy in the gym. Therefore, external stimulus on the muscle from resistance training is the main reason you will build muscle. We can agree on that for sure. You can't eat protein and get jacked. You need to physically, progressively overload the muscle. That's done through resistance training. Resistance training is fueled from energy, from carbohydrates. You could say fine sometimes from fats, but the time it would take to digest that much fat to use for energy, it's not efficient. Carbs can be digested at a lot quicker rate, therefore used a lot quicker. Plus, full glycogen stores give you better pumps and therefore make you look better even as you're dieting. Now, of course, protein is mission critical. That has to be in there. It's there for growth recovery, and also the satiety of protein is very high. Plus, you're going to get a lot of good, in all protein options, that there's so many good vitamins and minerals that come off the back of that, so it needs to be in there. So we want nutrients, which we'll go into the meal plan now, and then we'll talk about sustainability in a second. So for a breakfast that's nutrient dense and also filling, we've gone for oats, plenty of nutrients, very filling. We've gone for berries. Also, the only downside, berries are fucking expensive. Wherever you are in the world, they're pretty expensive. By the way, I've got a little bruise on my nose. It's from boxing the other day, obviously. Got to work on my parry, otherwise you get a bruised up nose. But anyway, so the berries are great. 150 grams of berries, a nice sizable amount, only 100 calories. Again, good amount of fiber. Like between those two foods, you're getting great fiber. You're getting, well, as we can see, the whole meal is about 12 grams. So you get a good amount of fiber, good amount of nutrients. This is also going to be quite a filling meal as well. From there, for your protein options and good quality cholesterol, we're going to have 4 eggs. It depends on the stage of the diet. If I couldn't stomach them as easy, I'd do them in like an omelette with the added egg whites. If I could, if I was right at the back end of the diet and I was hungry, I'd hard boil them because they give me more to bite and chew through. Bit of pink salt on, pepper, beautiful, going to go down very well. You can even add some hot sauce to it. So that would be the breakfast meal I'd run with in terms of nutrients and in terms of muscle, in terms of keeping you full. The lunch meal is a very, very basic one of white potato for the reasons we spoke about. Now, I would say to predominantly stick to the white potato or sweet. Both can work very well. When you start using rices and pastas, I love both of those, by the way, and bread. Love all three of those. I like any carbs, to be honest, but I really like all three of those. They go down very well, sit very well. They're better more in an off season because A, they don't carry as much nutrients as white potato does, and B, they're a smaller in volume. With white potato, you get a lot. Vegetables, this is mission critical. You've got to be having vegetables every meal. Now, I will tell you straight away, you want to pick some form of a leafy green, either a broccoli, a spinach, or a kale, because this is going to carry the most nutrients. I bet they are gold A tier vegetables with great amount of nutrients inside. Eat those. If it's 100 grams of vegetables, then it's 50 grams made up of those, and then the other 50 grams, you want things that are going to be quite filling and water-based. So tomatoes, cucumber, onions, they're not the most nutrient dense, but they are water-based and they are filling and they are tasty. It's going to make this overall meal better. Now, we've got chicken breast for the protein option, but what I will say is it doesn't have to be. You could swap that for turkey, tuna, or whitefish. You could swap it for salmon and red meat, and I'm all for that, and I actually personally eat a lot of red meat. But what we then need to factor in is we would remove fats from another outside source like dark chocolate or maybe take down some of the egg yolks and add a bit more whites in, just because we've only got a finite amount of fat. But you could get away with it for one of the meals 100%. The only reason, and what I'm going to come up with now, is for sustainability. I've duplicated the same meal twice. Why have I done that? Because of course we want nutrients, and of course we want fullness. But a big factor into this feeling like you're not dieting is actually your ability to prep it and stick to it. We could create a really nice, fancy, nutrient-dense diet. If you're not going to stick to it, it really doesn't matter. It really doesn't matter, like how, because then it will feel like dieting, because you've got to, I've got to prep this, and this. If I'm making you make one meal twice over, it's not going to feel that hard. All the other meals, like how long does it take to throw in eggs in a pan? Rapid. Hard boil them, 5 minutes, done. Oats, do them in the microwave or hot water, a minute. This meal at the end is just yogurt thrown together. This meal in the middle for pre-workout is either oats and raisins or fruit again. Again, all of this rapid to make. It needs to be easy, it needs to be quick. This does not want to be Jamie Oliver's kitchen. This wants to be quick food prep, in and out. Why? Because you'll stick to it. If something is simple, you are much more likely to stick to it than if it is complicated. So the third pillar of it being like something you'll stick to is actually if you can sustain it, and if it actually is easy. It needs to be easy. It doesn't want to be complicated. So what I would suggest is you pick one protein option, you stick with that for at least a week, maybe 2 weeks, and then you change it for another one. So you run with chicken for 2 weeks straight, you change it to whitefish, or you change it to tuna, or you eventually do change it to steak or a salmon, factored into your calories, and then that way you can actually stick to it. Same with your carb option, mainly stick to potato, or fine, you want to swap it, duplicate rice or duplicate pasta, but make it so easy that you can't fail on it, because most people will fail because of prep and because they didn't plan ahead. If you can get ahead of that, you'll stick to this. The person that gets in shape, and trust me when I say I know this, because how many times have I done this result? Many, many times. The people that get the results are the people that can just stick to it for long enough. People that stick to it for long enough normally have this simple meal plans, and that's why I create them the way they are, because they're simple and easy to follow. So we've spoke about pre-workout. This will depend on how long you've got before you train. If you need to train within 20 minutes of eating this, eat this meal plan. Why? It's going to digest quicker. If you need to train in about an hour, you can have oats, because oats take a little bit longer to digest. After the gym, you may shake and almond milk. That'll depend on your protein target. If your protein target's not that high, then I'd drop this best part of 20 grams out, and if you're on 50, you just wouldn't have this. And then evening meal, just some morale to finish the day. Again, preppable, easy, rapid meal to do. Bit of dark chocolate for magnesium before bed. But to be fair, we can touch on supplements. The supplements that I could tell you to follow would be creatine monohydrate every day, 5 to 10 grams, depends on the size of you really. A BCA to be taken whilst training. This is great for performance. Magnesium, roughly you need around 500 milligrams per day. Obviously, what I would say is I won't give you dosage amounts. You're better off doing your own research of your size, if you are, how much you're getting from your meal plan, and then where you're deficient, and then filling the gap of that. So I'm not going to, because there's a weird one with supplements. Supplements is kind of, I'm not going to give medical advice, maybe supplements are, so disclaimer here, don't follow. I'm going to tell you what I do take and what my members take, but I'm not going to tell you what amounts to take. That's your own homework you need to do. So magnesium before bed, and then your morning stack, you're looking at a zinc, omega-3 that is, and a vitamin D. Those are just the basic stacks. Don't really need much else on top of that, to be honest. You can look down the rabbit hole for this. I personally, because I'm in a surplus, so I'm getting plenty of fat, I'm not having omegas, and I'm not actually taking zinc because I'm getting a lot of red meat. I'm just personally running with magnesium and the Vit D supplements that I take. So this is the meal plan that my members follow. So they're dieting, but it feels like they're not dieting. So hopefully you can take some good value from this video, apply it into your own training, your own lives, and get down to the point of being fucking shredded, because life is amazing when you are tip-top lean and shredded. So get to work, follow this meal plan, stick to it, and then obviously manipulate it down when you need to see the changes towards the goal. If you want me to do this for you, you want to come join us at the Gorilla Platoon, there'll be a link in the description below. Come join us, and we'll get you to 10% body fat and change your fucking life. Thanks for watching as always. See you tomorrow.